Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
And we are live. Hello, everybody. Spider here, of course. Coming Soon podcast, being joined by, I would say, the cast. Some of the cast from premiere movie, man, coming up. I mean, Jayme and Mary. Thank you guys for jumping on this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Mario.
Now, of course, name of the film. Are you dead yet? The biggest thing when I heard that, I was like, man, it was like it's a question. So my question is, I mean, are they dead yet? What can you tell us about that, man?
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I think about half of them make it through. So
there you go.
But it's interesting. I had this crazy notion for like the last 2 years to buy a bunch of VHS tapes from the 80s and 90s. So just a bunch of slasher tapes I got in the back room there. Ooh. And I kind of started to notice, like when Jaws came out, they had like all these different knockoff movies, and it wasn't necessarily to rip off Jaws. It was just to kind of cash in on the oversaturation, and because they wanted to fill up all the video rental stores back then. And I thought to myself, we had Halloween. And then from that, we had Friday the 13th. And then we had all these other slashers that came out of the woods. And it's like, Vestron comes out and they come out with Slaughter High and just a slur of just straight to video in the video rental store. And I thought to myself, what if I had made a movie that felt like it was from the 80s?
Right.
Looked and felt like it was in the 80s, and it cashed in on stuff like Curtains and The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and all these movies that you would see in the 80s in a video rental store. And that's kind of where we went with Are You Dead Yet? It's just a simple story of a bunch of friends going into the woods, crazy guy in a paper mache mask, just ironically named Mache, because nobody, we actually fact checked that. I was like, did anybody do the name Mache? No? Okay, run it. And just straight up, just back to simplicity.
I was going to ask you about that, because when I saw the mask, I was like, man, is that paper mache? I was like, dude, that's freaking insane, dude. I like that, man.
Thank you. It's just I originally, which is hilarious, I wanted to do when we first made the mask, we have a very talented guy named AJ, did the entire thing out of paper mache. And I came over to your house the second it was done, and I showed it to you, and it was just blank white. And you looked at me and you were like, because I originally wanted to do it like Michael Myers. That first movie, it's just blank white. There's no scars, no damage, no nothing. And you're like, nobody's gonna buy it if it's like, blank white.
It's too clean. Too clean looking.
So I went back, just took a blowtorch to it, just took some paint to it, and this is kind of where we're at now.
Man, but you know what though? I was gonna say that would have been a good because I mean we haven't seen the film yet, so I don't know. We're looking at a sequel or trilogy. I mean, we don't know where it's going, but that would have been pretty cool, because the mask would have taken age as per film. Like, okay, it came out, first time, second time, third time. It's like, but
I mean, they're that the overall idea of deterioration, it kind of worked afterwards, because I was thinking, well, the guy's been alone in the woods for 30 years.
Yeah,
he's just running around. The same stuff, it's going to deteriorate over time. So kind of actually afterwards, I was like, what, this kind of makes a little more sense.
True,
so I'm kind of glad I didn't whitewash it after all.
So if there's a sequel and stuff, it can be even
more
so.
Yeah, they're
in a different way.
I'm sure there'll be something down the road. I'm sure, like some sort of potential crossover. Depends on if any of the indie guys end up liking this, or they want to see it and they want to do a versus movie. I'm all for it, because I love Freddy versus Jason, man. I'm all for it.
I'm glad you brought that up, man, because the other day I was having a big old conversation with a coworker, and I was like, man, like, you know what? I haven't seen any more like, all these characters, all these films that are coming out, and I said, nobody's thought about doing like they cross path. I mean, they're in the woods. Who would have thought, like, hey, this is going on here across the woods. There's somebody else, and it's like, man, let's make a little, little versus film.
See, that's insane to me. It baffles me. It's like the Spider-Man deal over at the MCU. Sony gets half the profits. Disney gets half the profits. You don't need to get 100% of the profits. Take half and half. You don't own the IP, that's fine. But like I've been like secretly saying for years, I want to see Chucky versus Leprechaun. I think I'm the one in the entire planet that wants to see that. So, but if Lionsgate took half the profits, Universal took half the profits, you would walk away with bank. Regardless, you don't get the full thing. But we pay hella money to go see that. You get coin in your pocket. What do you have to lose? Start making these versus movies. You're in an entire thing where the multiverse exists now. But I feel like with the independent horror filmmakers now, I feel like there's more possibility that I feel like they're more open to the idea of, we'll collaborate on this together because I know what you've been through and you know what I've been through. And we're not big studios here. And I feel like we could, if we worked together on this, we could actually come up with something really good. And I feel like that's kind of the new wave for the horror genre, at least in my opinion. Like the big budget studios, like I love it, but it just has too much CGI in it. We love practical. We did almost entirely, I think there's maybe 2 CGI shots in the entire movie, but the whole thing is practical effects. You want to go back to the basis. And that's what a lot of these indie people do. Terrifier, Damien Leone does nothing but practical. And it's people want that. People want to go back to the basics, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because I'm that guy. You know, people. I mean, they're like, oh, you got to watch this film, and too much CGI, man. Like I'm like, damn, you know, like I tell people I love films when people were behind the monsters, like they were in costumes, they were wearing, they're for the Godzillas, of course, the old ones, stuff like that just makes sense to me. I mean, it's more believable. I mean, but it's just now it's backwards. Now it's like they're using CGI and like the characters are gone. It's just I'll watch them, but I'm not a big fan. It's just
I love those old Godzilla movies. Everybody gives me such flack for those movies, but I love them because they take 4 weeks to work on a suit. The buildings are all made by hand. The sky in the back is painted. You don't see that anymore. You do not see that. It's all CGI wash now. I watched that new Godzilla. It looked like cutscenes out of a video game.
Bro, I was disappointed. I was disappointed, man. Like, it's ironic because earlier I said, I like when the people were wearing the costumes, but on that movie, it seemed like they have more human characteristics. Like the whole, I don't know, it's just weird. I was just like, man, like even when people were doing the characters, they weren't like that. It's just they made it look too real. They're the monsters, bro. Let them be monsters. Let them just go out there and tear stuff up. I mean, the whole thing, like, I don't know if they high-fived. I kind of felt like they wanted to at one point. I was just like, bro, like, it's a Pepsi commercial or what? It was weird. It was weird to me, man. But
there's some charm to those old 70s movies where you're sitting around shaking hands and drop kicking each other. Like, I don't know. I personally
flying through the air with his feet.
Oh my God, that one.
Man, guys, and of course, I mean, and not to overlook the fact that both you guys. I mean, of course, Jayme, when it came to being a writer, director, actor as well, right? I mean, you jumped on the films yourself. When everything started for you, and I read this on your IMDb, man, but it started with a film back at home. I think it was at Grandma's house.
Oh no! So when I was a kid, Jesus Christ, when I was a young lad,
there you go. Back in the day.
Yeah, no, my grandma, God rest her soul. I miss her. When I was a kid, my parents would always drop me off at my grandma's house on the weekends, and I never did stage plays, I never did anything like that in school, but I would always just sit there and recite the storybook for her. I had it on memory, so I'd sit there and she'd always get out the old JVC VCR camera, the mini tapes, and I have one of those lying around in my parents' house somewhere, but it's just me reciting the whole Little Red Riding Hood. I don't know. As a kid, I liked having attention. Now I'm a grown man, and I'm like, no, I don't like attention. I like making movies.
There you go. Be the man behind the camera.
I mean, to an extent. I'm not going to sit there and say I wouldn't be in front of the camera, but
right. No, for sure. And of course, Mary, when did it start for you?
I don't really know. I just always liked acting and dressing up and stuff, all the time. And
But you have a real passion for stop motion, though, don't you?
yeah, I like stop motion a lot. So, and things like that. So, yeah, just all my life, I really was interested in film. I actually did want to go to film school originally. Like, I wanted to be a film editor, but I chose safer paths, I guess. So, I this is the next best
Very
thing.
hard,
And I like making movies just because it's my passion. It's what I like to do versus other aspects of it. But yeah, and I met a lot of cool people doing this one alone. So
Yeah, we have some pretty interesting people working on this. It's amazing how it's like, so where we're from, it's a small town, and it's nobody really knew about this movie until the balls. It was almost like the domino effect. I asked her and I asked 3 other people, and then we started shooting scenes and we started putting stuff on Facebook, and everybody's like, wait a second, this is actually happening. And then we had a poster up in the theater, and then other people like, wait a second, can I jump in on this? Can I jump in on? And I still have movies coming out in 2 months. I still have people asking, can I be in it? I'm like, hell no, we're gonna come out in 2 months.
It's almost done.
It's almost done.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to go back there and edit.
Oh my God, what a nightmare. So let me just put into the basis of how we're operating right now. Our entire budget on this is $2,000. We're shooting on a Canon EOS 4000D, which is like the most inexpensive Canon to get,
Right.
with no audio output, no autofocus. We're editing on Adobe Premiere, like the Best Buy version for $80. It's so. I had a friend out in San Diego, and he just had a movie that got picked up by Warner Brothers and is going into Criterion, and he had like a $20,000 budget, and he looked at my process. He's like, bro, we got to upgrade you. You are here. We need you here. I look at everybody else. I'm like, that's where I want to be. Cause most of the time, even though she's an actor, I'll, if it's just a simple shot, like, I don't know, I'm on camera and I need somebody to stand there and hit the record button. I'll say, Mary, what are you up to this week? And she'll come and help out, and she'll record while I do my shots. Right. And, it's a lot of people, even though, you're doing this, you're doing that. We're pretty much doing all the stuff ourselves. It's just a mixed bag of
I'm actually
jobs.
really proud of a lot of the camera work that I did.
You did some fantastic camera work.
I'm not gonna lie. So
you were one of the best drivers I've ever had.
Thank you.
She did a lot of chauffeuring. It was crazy.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool, man, because it is a indie film, so of course the budget is what it is, but it makes sense for everybody to do a little bit of everything, man, because for one thing, it's experience. Because where you're like, hey, I want to do this, your path might take you somewhere else. You never know. But it's a great thing, man. As far as for me, I watch a lot of indie films. I'm on YouTube, I'm streaming, and some just go by me, and I'm like, oh, okay, and there's some that I'm like, damn, like the storylines get me. I'm into soundtracks. I'm into character lineage. The chemistry. Those are the things that I look for, and I'm like, man, once they get me, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch this, and I'll sit there and But man, I'm excited. I'm not even in it, and I'm like, bro, I'm excited about this.
Next one, we're giving you a call. You're in the next one. Don't worry.
Let's go. I'm not that great of a driver, but I do pretty good.
By the way, I gotta say, I love that My Bloody Valentine poster you have hanging. I cannot stop looking at that. I can't stop looking at that.
No, yes, I actually had it signed. We had a horror con last year, and they came by. So I was like, you know what? I lucked out. I have a lot of. You talked about VHS. I've got like hundreds of VHS. I'm not a collector. I just stuff that I own, but I do a lot of media when it comes to DVD. I haven't owned a Blu-ray yet. That's everybody's like, oh, you can get this on Blu-ray, and I'm like, man, I don't even know. My player plays Blu-ray. I'm like, dude, it's been a while, but I collect a little bit of everything, man. The posters are all from this VHS video store that closed down a couple years back.
Oh,
So
no
all of them
kidding.
are like coming soon. That's actually, you know, where I got my name from, coming soon.
I love
You know?
that. Actually, I think I've seen, did you have a video of did you do a collection video on your channel? Like a tour room, like a room tour or something?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. Okay. Holy shit, that's you.
Yeah, actually, I changed stuff around, and it's like everything in my room is what I own. So all my VHS, all my laser discs, I've got, you know.
Oh my God! Now I really feel honored being on this podcast.
No, you see, so yeah, but I do a lot of those just because I do a lot of filming here. I mean, like what you guys are saying. I mean, I'm not at that level where I'm like, okay, I want to make movies, but as a kid, I know you were talking about your time and fame with the Little Red Riding Hood, man. That's cool and all, but when I was a kid.
Oh no, I got there's a whole nother story past that. That's
whole line of
that's the
stories
iceberg. There's a
Oh
whole
man. Well, you see, my thing, I used to be in plays in elementary school, and they were always like, "Oh, Mario, you're gonna be the head, you're gonna be in front," and man, it ruined me for life because I'm shy. Like I hate crowds. I don't like being in front of people, and so it just made it worse, But as a kid, the only reason they kept picking me was because they could pronounce my name. Like every other kid that was in there had names from their grandpa, like Arnulfo, a lot of, I mean, I'm here in San Antonio, man. So they had names that the teachers couldn't pronounce. So they were like, Mario, you know what? And every song they made was, like, for example, they changed one into Old McMario. Not McDonald, but McMario. That was my highlight. So they rewrote that one for me because of my name. There was like 3 or 4 songs that every time we go, they're like, hey, you're gonna be on the front again. And I was just like, what the world? Like, and it was just because they could pronounce my name, man. So that was my stardom, right? That's when it kind of like, after that, I was like, man, I was always interested. I mean, I love watching movies. I got into the whole combat sports. I have a combat sports podcast as well. So I cover kickboxing, MMA, bare knuckle, all that stuff, man. So for me, it was, interviews, being out there cage side, ringside, I always get VIP. So I love the whole media pass thing. But
well, that's perfect because we're doing an Expendables like movie next.
Oh, nice. Let's go.
That'd be right up your alley.
But yeah, and so it was, but yeah, it just started for me. And, like now I do a lot of perks. I do a lot of voice perks. I throw myself out there as much as I can. But I've been doing a lot of auditions like here locally, man. There's so many films out here. I've done a couple of behind the scenes. And that's one of the things, like when people are shooting, I'm like, hey man, if it's cool, like I want to go shoot some photos, no video. And they're like, yeah, come by. And so I like it because I'm like, okay, I'm not in the movie, but I'm like, dude, I see a lot of the work and I'm like, okay, you know what? I get a lot of cool, images, I give them to the producer, the directors, and they're like, oh man, thanks, because one of the things I realized, like myself, I'm media and I'm out there shooting pictures for everybody. And the reason I started doing that was because when I first started competing, like people weren't doing that. It wasn't big. I started in 2000. So people weren't doing photos. And if they were shooting the people that they knew. And you know what I mean? So I started going after like the people that are making their pro debut or their amateur debut, the people, because a lot of them had like one fight and that was it. So they were always like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to fight again, man. But, can I have those photos? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Like, memories, right? So they show them to their kids and it's just something they can look back at and be like, okay, well, I stepped in the cage once, and so I just started doing that because of that. But the same thing, I wasn't a photographer by trade. I was a guy with a camera, but man, I mean, a lot of my photos got published in magazines and books. The promotions would use them to promote their upcoming fights and all. But so I said, okay. I said, well, I'm onto something, So because I loved it and I enjoyed it, I said it just made more sense. But that's kind of like I started doing this like a year and 2 months ago, and it's just the same energy I want to take into this, man. I want to be in it. I don't just want to be that guy that's taking photos. I go out there and train with the guys. I want to go and hold the mitts at the weigh-ins. I'm out there, like, helping them recover or, whatever it takes, putting up the cage, knocking down the cage. It's just, I want to be involved somehow, and that's kind of like the whole behind the scenes. So if you guys shoot again, man, I definitely want to go out there and hang out with you guys for a while, man.
Oh yeah, you betcha. But see that I want to bring up a point about what you said about having opportunities out there. So where we're from in Dubuque here, we don't have that committee. Like we don't have that community that's into this stuff. So there never really was any type of opportunity for me to be like, I want to go work on this, or I'm willing to work on this, or I'm happy to help you with this, because nobody here is really doing that.
Yeah.
And even the ones that are, they already have like a decade's worth of established people and crew that they're like, well, I already have my guys, and I have the people that I trust, and I have the people that I've been working with, so
Right.
they're not really willing to take on new blood. So it got to me to a point where it's like, well, if there's not going to be any opportunities, I'm going to make myself an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing. This isn't the first time I made a feature. First time I made a feature was like 5-6 years ago. What was that? 2017, something like that. And we had been working on that for 3 years. And that's what took us so long. Our production was like 3 years ago, but we all have full-time jobs. We all have lives. We all have kids. We all have stuff that occupies our weekdays that, we're only able to shoot on the weekends. And so that's, most of these guys wrap their shit up in 2-3 months. Like, we had to work on this for 3 years, because if I had the money, because like I said, our budget was about the amount of 3 steak dinners. If I had the money to, successfully be like, okay, quit your job for 2 months, here's your pay and compensation, and come shoot this for this amount of time, and then go back to your regular life. We don't have that option though. But I'm hoping somewhere down the line we get to that point where we can successfully do that with the people that we want to do that with, and bring in all these other people that don't have that have been like me, that don't have that opportunity. We want to give them that opportunity.
Nice, man. I like that, bro. And I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and I told them, for me, this year was basically instead of waiting for opportunities, I'm going to create them. And I've been doing that. I've been networking like a madman. It's not funny, funny, but like how you stated earlier, everybody that's here, they kind of keep they have their own circle, and they're like, hey, these are the people I trust, these are the people, and I get that, because it's like you don't want to bring somebody in, and then halfway through the film they're like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then what? It's kind of leave people hanging. Yeah, sorry about that.
The expression on my face is like, no, because we've been through the ringer on that. We get people that are like, yeah, we'll do this, and then it's either ghost, or they'll come up with some excuse like a week later, and we're like, why?
They agree just to make you happy, and then they're like, oh, this is real. Yeah.
Well, I will say, I will give myself credit on 2 points. I know how to hella market, and I'm very good at bugging you to do something until you finally agree to do it. Those are the 2 things I'm very good at. And I will give myself credit on those, because how many people do you think we have on this? Like 80, 100 volunteers at this point, something like that. Somebody jumped in for somebody jumped in for like a day. Somebody jumped in for like 2 days. Somebody was like, yeah, I make sure, if
people that filled in for people that couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I make sure to credit you. Like even if you showed up for a single day and did something, I make sure that you're credited for it.
Right.
I never want anybody to feel left out. You obviously you showed up, you did the work. I want to make you feel like your time was worth it. So I always try to credit people. Sometimes I miss somebody here and there. It does happen. I try not to let it happen though, because I want to make everybody feel valued. That's just me personally.
No, for sure, man. And I agree. I mean, especially if they're going to, even if it's a day's work, I mean, that's still, taking their time away from life or, kids. But yeah, man, I mean, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, the fact you were talking about your community, man. I mean, how many people are in that town, would you say? What's the account? Was it everybody that volunteered?
We'd have to Google that.
We'd have to Google it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a city, but it's like a town city, if that makes sense. It's like,
I mean, we've got a Sonic. That's about the biggest highlight.
Not everybody knows each other, but most people know each other.
I mean, there's a downtown, a midtown, and an uptown, and then there's an uptown. So if you're downtown and you know people from uptown, that's probably a good sign.
Let me ask you, how many post offices are there?
2, 3.
Oh, okay. That's a small town, bro.
Yeah.
I've actually delivered in small towns here where in Divine, Texas. I was actually working down there for like almost a year, and 2 routes. So it was just 1 post office, 2 letter carriers, and 4 rural carriers. The one that would go on the outskirts, But it was fun. It had the whole small town feel, where I would be delivering like the same people, and I'm reading the name, and I'd be like, man, there's a guy with it. He's oh, yeah, that's my cousin. You know, so there was a lot of cousins around there, man. So that's kind of scary because you know you gotta be careful who you date, right?
Yeah, like I said, it is it's the city of Dubuque, but it's a very small city, considering other cities that exist. So
For sure, man.
But
let me ask you this. I mean, now that the movie's coming out, I mean, have you guys gotten the support? I mean, are people kind of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go out here and support this?
Well, I mean, I guess as far as the red carpet premiere goes, time will tell.
Yeah.
You know, like tickets just went on sale this morning. By the way, if you're in the Dubuque area, or if you're even close to the Dubuque area, or if you're even where this guy is, if you want to come down and support this, please, by all means, grab yourself a ticket in the next 2 months. This is gonna be the event of the summer. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but god damn it, sometimes you just gotta.
There you go. There you go. They gotta support, man. I mean, they're out there, you know, supporting people they don't know. So you know, why not help indie film, you know, in the making, dude? I mean, this is you guys hustling. This is your work. You know, I mean, it gets exciting. I mean, like I said, I mean, even here, I mean, there's a lot of filmmakers around here, man. And I'm like, I'm constantly networking and meeting new people, and I'm like, damn. Or somebody will tell me like, oh, there's another, you know, director here, and so yeah, I mean, San Antonio is booming. I mean, half of California is already here, so we got a lot of traffic, you know. But you know, just the locals alone, there's a lot of people doing work.
Oh yeah, and it's always fun doing stuff like this. It's constantly, and you always have great stories. God, I've at least talked about this 3 times. I'm going to talk about it again. I don't care. So we're so this is summer 2022. We shot maybe about 15 minutes of the movie so far. This is stuff we shot from the first draft. The script went through 7 changes before we finally ended up where we were. There was a whole thing. There was a whole plot where Mache. It was almost like a House of Wax plot where he had a brother that like a smooth talking, like a well-kempt brother that orchestrated everything. And this is how simple this problem was. We couldn't find a single actor that wanted to play the brother. So I had to like cut that out of the script, and it just became a simple slasher after that. It just became Mache run around with a mallet out in the woods. But so the summer 2022, we have 15 minutes of the movie shot so far. I'm going to upload it to a hard drive that I just bought that day. Damn. The hard drive crashes. The computer crashes. Does a factory reset, and it wipes out everything. Ghost. Damn. Completely gone. A whole year worth, 15 minutes of footage, gone. Just
wow, bro.
I cried so hard that night. And we had the biggest shoot. We had 2 big shoots during the entire production. We had 2 big shoots where we wrangled everybody together over 2 separate weekends. This happened to be one of them. And the night before we did the big shoot, I'm sitting there with a bottle of Jack Daniels crying. I was so broken. So Sunday comes, because that was a Friday. That was actually the 4th of July weekend. So Sunday comes around. We're shooting at probably one of the most beautiful reserves. It's like that Swiss Valley Reserve. Oh yeah. It had some of the most clearest water in the entire world I've ever seen run through a stream. And what we did to that water, I will never forgive myself for. But she has a scene. You can see it in the trailer. It's in the trailer. A screwdriver goes through her torso. And we got the boys came in with a 5-gallon bucket of fake blood, and they rigged a tube that goes around the from the front around the side of it. Right. And it goes into a little pump, and you just pump it, and the blood comes spraying out the front. Well, here comes our cinematographer. Dude comes down in jorts, $2,000 worth of white clothes, brand new white tennis shoes.
4th of July weekend. Is that why he's dressed up?
I'm almost 97% sure he was. He comes strutting down.
He likes to dress nice.
Comes strutting down the gravel road and gets right up there with the camera, right up to her torso. And nobody checked the tube. The tube around the back had a puncture in it. Oh. So the second that we go to shoot the scene where the blood comes spraying out of her torso with the little screwdriver sticking out, he goes, man, I sure hope I don't get hit. They hit the pump. The pump blasts off the back, and it just sprays him.
Ew.
Most of it.
He got the majority of that blood. I was like, we're never going to see this guy again.
It wasn't like a lot, but it was enough. And he's like, oh man.
I was like, I'm never gonna see this guy again. And 2 weeks later, he showed back up to life. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
He didn't show up with the cleaner bill, did he?
No, fortunately, I'm pretty sure he even knew we didn't even have money for a cleaner's bill at that point. But, the guys, what I love about the effects guys, they always find a way to make it like non-disastrous. Like even the blood they use washes out of white clothes just like that.
Nice.
They're very resourceful for the amount of money that we have. And that's another thing that I like about what we're doing with these old 80s movies. Back in the 80s, like Friday the 13th, for instance, Tom Savini and all these guys, they were doing effects with their brothers for like 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're doing the boys that we have right now, Matt and Tyler, and they're doing the exact same thing. And we got a new girl, Katie. She came in too. She's wonderful. Katie's wonderful. And they're all doing effects for pennies on the dollar. And they're so resourceful about it. They have the stuff where they're like, okay, well, this will wash out, no problem, no mess, no nothing. It's just wonderful people that you get connected with.
No, for sure, man. And I mean, of course, because you guys are in the mix. I mean, have you reached out to other filmmakers in the area? I mean, are you guys like kind of, working with other people as well?
So I mean, as far as this project goes, we're pretty much in the wrap on this one. We kind of did this one ourselves, but you meet people. We have a film festival. Christ, we got the Julian Dubuque International Film Festival is coming up next weekend. You get filmmakers come in all the time, and that's usually where I like to meet people. And same thing, like you said with the conventions, we go to what's that one we were just at?
Go to Days of the Dead in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
There's Days of the Dead like in other cities as well, but
this one met Clive Barker at his last convention. You know how mad I am?
One of his last.
I didn't want to wait 2 hours in line. I mean,
I didn't wait 2 hours though. That's the funny part. But anyway,
there were people sitting there at 7 a.m. waiting to meet this guy. But
they didn't have to. They didn't have to.
I will say this. That's kind of where I'm because I'm media, so I get to go and stand next to these guys. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I fist bump people, and I'm just like, but I've met a lot of good people like that, though, man. So that's cool, though. I mean, hopefully.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, they're good.
No, I was just gonna say, aside from like the big celebrity meet and greets that they have there, I love going to the tables where all the indie people have their DVDs and their Blu-rays, and they're displaying the stuff that they're working on currently. And that's usually, those are the connections I'll make when we go to Days of the Dead. I'll link up with some of these guys.
That last part on that Sunday, we met 2 of them right in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was one of my favorite parts of it too.
One of them offered you a job. She was like, yeah, if I get it, here, take my number. If I get a job, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Man, but you see, that's a good networking, because here too, a lot of the indie filmmakers, they'll set up booths, they'll have tables. I was in Bastrop, a few weeks back, and same thing. You had like 4 indie filmmakers out there from outside the state that drove all the way out here, and I'm like, all right, cool, man. So I bring them on here, plug them in, network. I am in San Antonio, but I mean, I've reached out to the UK. I've reached out to what was it, Australia, the Philippines. Like I'm getting out there, man. So it's like I told my buddy, I said, I might not be number 1 here in Texas, but I'll be number 1 in the Philippines, man. Somebody will like me somewhere, man. But yeah, I do that on purpose, just to geographically pop up everywhere. So people punch it in. They're like, man, what's this guy doing out here in the Philippines, right? Something will pop up somewhere.
You never know.
You never know. Well, hey, like I said, I've seen your YouTube channel like well before, even this. So you're reaching places. You are reaching places.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strategy. So I've been doing a lot of homework, man. I'm at work, and I go and sit down for like 15 minutes, and I'm networking, just looking up different ways to plug in. I changed a lot of the wordings. I mean, I'm constantly just moving to see what works, what doesn't, and it's obviously some of it does work. So I'm pretty cool, pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
But let me ask you. I mean, of course, this film you said in a few months, right? You guys are gonna have the red carpet.
Yeah, we'll have
June 14th.
Yep, June 14th. We'll have that's our I mean, I'm calling it the red carpet premiere. That's what you would call your world premiere,
Right.
I guess whatever
The premiere in general.
whatever they would do at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood, where
Nice.
they have everybody comes in their ball gowns and their tuxes and they line up for photos and stuff.
And this one, of course, is going to be open to the public, so it's not just
unlike that stuff would be closed off.
Right.
I didn't ever really see this as a way where it'd be like, oh, just let the cast and crew enjoy. I mean, if I really want to, like maybe the night before, I'll gather everybody together and we'll watch it privately before the big on-screen reveal. But I kind of wanted us and the public to enjoy it at the same time, because I know that we've had a lot of people in Dubuque, even people that aren't even in the movie. So many people have been like, when's the movie coming out? I want to see the movie. Like they've been acting like they've been treating it like it's a big $1 million movie. And I'm like, okay, so if that has that much interest, I'm going to open it the same day to the public that we would do it as a private event.
Nice.
The only difference is, the people that worked on it, they obviously get their photos taken professionally. They have signed stuff. They have merchandise. And then we're just going to party really, really hard afterwards.
There you go, man. Go out with the bang.
You got it.
I will say this. Earlier, you were talking about versus films, right? As far as putting character with character. There's a publication in Austin. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's called Gore Nor.
Mm-mm.
And it's a magazine. The guy's same thing. He does events out here. He does them here in San Antonio and Austin. But he's going to do an issue for June where he's doing like a crowdfunding, but he's calling it the versus issue. So he's going to have like Jason versus so-and-so. I'm going to plug this in, man. I'm going to see if we can get you guys an opponent,
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, just to kind of plug that in, and then the other filmmaker as well. Both you guys will get hits, and it'll just be fun to see who people think would win, and we'll let them decide.
I love that. I mean, I'll give you the scoop. I'll give you the scoop here first. So a few years ago, we had another guy here in Dubuque named Tim, and he made this movie called Death to Metal, and it's about a mutated priest that goes around and kills a bunch of headbangers. And it's and I was talking about it because even he likes the notion of the Freddy versus Jason. And I said, God, I would love to do that. I would love to do your character, Milton Kilborn, which is the mutated priest, versus Mache. And he goes, well, I mean, I don't plan on revisiting it. And that's all we've said so far about it. So that if that could actually end up happening, then I would do it. But it all depends, because you have my side that's doing this, and you have his side that's doing that. And so we'd have to come to some sort of agreement. If that were to happen, that would be really cool if it did.
No, I mean, I said we plug it in and see what happens, because, and I saved the image real quick of what he's doing just so you guys can see it. And then I'll plug you in on his page. But this is what he's doing.
Oh, the bracket.
Yes.
I love that.
So I'll talk to the guy and plug him in and see, man, because I think honestly it would make sense. He'd probably get a lot more hits with indie films, just because they're gonna really want to push their character and see who wins, man. Well, what do you think, bro? You thinking put you guys in there or what?
I think I'm going to stand a pretty good chance. I think Mache's going to stand a pretty good chance against Art the Clown. Let's do this bracket.
Let's do it, brother. Yeah, I mean that's funny. That's funny that conversation came up, because I was reading that earlier and I said, dude, that's freaking awesome, dude. I love that. So we'll see what we can make happen, man. But of course, as far as movies, man, I mean, of course you guys are making movies, but what are your thoughts on some of the films that have came out? Have you guys been able to go out there and watch some of these movies in the film in theaters?
I mean, like just the horror movies in general.
Like the first Omen came out the other day. I mean, just like the bigger.
I think the last thing I saw in theaters was Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. Is that what you saw? Yeah. I heard. What's the
other Godzilla? But
-1 was really good.
Yeah.
But horror film. What was the last horror film?
I feel like I could be wrong. I feel like we saw Thanksgiving
Oh,
last.
Thanksgiving is actually
yeah.
one of my favorite newer. I like Eli in general, so
Yeah,
his
he's
works.
going to be in Houston, I believe, right? He's going to be out there in one of the conventions coming up.
Really?
So
Um,
I'm hoping because I'm waiting on my media pass for that one. So who knows? Maybe I'll meet the guy. But yeah, totally. When
well,
I saw
I did
that,
this,
those
I
kill
did.
scenes were freaking brutal, man.
Oh my God, the oven. Oh, I had to walk out of the theater. I had to walk.
I was like, Jayme, you're not leaving. This is a good movie. Come on. And
I'm
he
like,
was walking through the doors. He wasn't prepared for it. But then the second
second time
so
around, we're
time
like,
around,
yeah, we
Well,
got
you
this.
you
weren't
see,
on
for me, I mean that whole I'm sure people have seen it, but that trampoline scene.
That's straight out of the trailer.
I'll say this. Like I worked in the in construction, right? I've been out there, and twice throughout those years that I worked, I stepped on a nail.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
so when I saw that happening, I was just like, man, I cringed because I was like, damn, that's gotta. I mean, that pain came back, and I was just thinking, man, that would freaking suck. You know, I would. I mean, to go out like that, I mean, you can't stop, right? They're like, it was brutal, man. Wow.
Well, that trampoline scene is straight out of that. Was it Blumhouse trailer?
Yeah. So what they did, this was back in, I feel like I could be wrong on the year, but I think it was like 2006, 2007. They did the Grindhouse double feature,
sorry.
and they had all those fake trailers. And this came from one of the fake trailers that Eli Roth had done for Thanksgiving. And I think it's hilarious. Every time I say Thanksgiving, like my brain wants to say Thanksgiving. That fucking movie with the turkey,
Yeah.
the puppet turkey that goes gobble gobble, motherfucker. Yeah. Like every time my brain wants to just say that, I'm like, no, that's a different movie.
Man, but yeah, you know. So I know tonight we're actually gonna watch one tonight. I'm behind. I mean, I've been working so much, but I'm definitely gonna go catch up tonight. Abigail, I'm gonna go watch that one.
Oh God,
I've saw a thing people post about that.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews, but I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch it, man. Like it's just when I first saw it, I was like, man, I don't want to watch that. And the more I started seeing like things pop up, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go watch it. So we're gonna go watch that tonight. We'll, make the most of it. But man, I'm glad I got you guys on here, man. Like I said, I wanted to run this somewhat short, only because I do want to bring you guys back and plug in. I mean,
oh yeah,
I'm thinking before the red carpet or after. What are you thinking?
That's up to
Either
you.
Way, whatever works.
I could go either way, honestly.
Wait, man, sure.
I'm cool with whatever, and now I'm stuttering. So
no, but yeah, man. I mean, we'll definitely bring you back before.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about
it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll message you guys before before then. I mean, I'm just saying as far as bringing you guys back on the podcast. But man, I appreciate you guys jumping on here. I know it is Friday. Have you guys ever been to San Antonio?
Yes, I have. My cousin actually lives there, so I have my aunt and uncle. My aunt and uncle lived near Corpus Christi, but at the time they lived in Austin, and we went to like San Antonio and stuff. So yeah, I've been to the Alamo.
I don't get out much.
What was that?
I live here, and I hadn't been down there like downtown like that in years. And the other day I was at Anime Con because I had to meet this vendor. I had to go pick up some stuff he made for me, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to downtown. I walked in front of the Alamo, and I was like, man, I haven't been out here in years. So I took a picture just because I was like, dude, it'll probably be another couple of years before I go back, But yeah, it was
my interest is the Ripley's thing across the street. So the next time I go, that's been years for me. So the next time I'm in that area, if time allows or whatever I'm doing, I would definitely check out that. So
yeah, man, and especially I'm gonna plug in that theater also, man. That would see maybe we can bring you guys down here. Do another
going. That would be great.
But man, I appreciate it, guys. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up, man?
I guess I don't know. I was gonna ask you. Speaking of the movies that we've seen, are you more partial to like newer movies like that, or do you ever like go back and watch any of the classics?
No, I mean, as far as classics at home, I have VHS, I have DVDs. When they do come out in theaters like that, I do, only because a lot of them I didn't get to see at the theater. As a kid, the first film I ever saw as a kid, a horror film, was Shud. And it was like 8 years old, took the bus downtown with my best friend. got off, watched it, left, and it was an experience, because even then, and I will say this, because my dad was like, as soon as you leave, you get out of the theater, just cross the street and catch the bus back. So we're like scared, like 8-year-old, right? Walking around. Well, right next to the Aztec Theater was a Riverwalk. And I remember me and my friend were like, let's go watch, let's go look. And we were so scared, we didn't even want to walk down the steps, because we were like, man, what if something happens? And but it was just, but yeah, it's just, that was my first one. But when they show them at the theater again, I do try to watch them, just because I missed that experience in a lot of them. During the 90s, I used to do a lot of music. I used to distribute vinyl back in the day, through distributors all over the world. And because of that, I was at shows. I used to do listen to punk rock, and so I was at venues here in Austin, Dallas, Houston, and I missed a lot of movies. Like, people were like, oh, the 90s, and I'm like, man, I was watching no TV during the 90s. I was out everywhere. And so I missed a lot of those 90s films. And so I kind of go back, and I'm like, man, when they're saying they're going to re-show this, I'm like, yeah, I got to go watch it, just because I want to get that whole experience, theater, man.
Yeah.
Like seeing Scream on.
Absolutely. Oh, didn't we go? We went to the first one, the second re-release.
Yeah.
I love those re-releases every time they bring something
so
back.
I like that feel, because I missed a lot myself as well. So I like to see them when they come back.
For sure. But yeah, man, I'm old school, so I love all that VHS type recordings, layout. You see a camcorder. I've got a VHS camcorder camera.
I love that.
I went blank, but the smaller tapes. God, I just went blank.
Yeah, the mini tapes.
No, well, not those. The Beta.
Oh, you got a Betamax?
Yeah, I've got a Beta recorder, bro. Everything included. I bought it at they were having an auction. I contract deliver furniture for Big Lots here in San Antonio, so I'm on the road all the time and pulling over at estate sales, garage sales, picking up stuff, man. And I found them at a estate sale, full complete. The guy's like, man, it works. It's been there for years, and boom.
So, in my hometown in Dyersville, and God, they just will not let Field of Dreams go. There's this antique store that was there, and she had this big, nice, beautiful. The thing was like huge mahogany, and the tape was about that big versus the unit that was like that big, and it was a Betamax player, and she was selling it for $50. And I asked if it came with any Betamaxes, and she goes, "Yeah, but you can't have those." And I'm like, "Why not?" And she goes, "Because they're all porn." So I bought the Betamax. I never had anything to play on it, but it still resides at my parents' house. And then maybe about 5-6 years ago, I'm at this pawn shop, and the guy's selling the Laserdisc player for $10.
Oh, nice.
The Laserdisc, you go on eBay, they're like $300. So I'm never getting that back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a Laserdisc, had a nice little collection for a while. Housefire come and wipe it all out.
Oh man.
Took everything. Took all my Marvel comics, my first Venom and Green Goblin. I lost a lot of stuff in there.
Damn, bro.
And it was so I'm slowly kind of starting to build it back. But then I just started looking at Laserdiscs again, and the part of me is like, do I want this? Do I really want this, or do I not want this? Because it's just gonna sit there. And it's nice to have as a novelty, but I really don't feel like getting up, walking to the thing, taking the disc out, and flipping it over to watch the rest of my movie.
No, yeah, I always tell people that was always the downfall.
Oh yeah.
One of the things it took me a while to realize that on Netflix they didn't have commercials. Like, I had no idea. It didn't imprint in my brain. Like, every time I watch a movie, I just never realized that there was no commercials, right? And one day, like, my kids came over and they're like, "Hey, Dad, let's watch a movie." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." We watched Stephen King, because it was like a double tape, right? So my daughter was like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna put the other tape up, but you know what? I'm gonna make more popcorn." And so I said, "Okay, so we're doing all that." And she brought up the fact that, you know what, I miss commercials. She said, because those are the times when you can get up and pee or do whatever you got to do, And it made me laugh, but I was just like, dude, that's true, man. Now you got to sit through. I mean, you can get up and go, but it's just like, if I'm watching a movie, I'm not moving. It's that good. So, but yeah, I miss that old school, like, just in between, just go out there and do what you got to do. Get more popcorn, get more snacks, come back.
Yeah.
Unless you have like Hulu that has ads or something, but even then it's like shorter ads.
Yeah, you got to hurry up. You got to run.
That's funny that you bring up Netflix, because I remember when Netflix first came out and it was no streaming, it was DVD rentals over the mail. And this is when we had video rental stores. And I was like, when Netflix first came out, I thought that was literally the dumbest idea in the entire world. Because I was like, why would I want to wait for my movie to show up in the mail when I could just literally drive to the store and go pick it up? And then the streaming thing started, and then that took over everything. Mm-hmm. It's like it obsoleted physical media and
all the video stores, man.
Yeah. And the video stores just went bye-bye. But I still have a special place for physical media just because of the fact, not only does, for instance, the OG King Kong versus Godzilla or Dogma, neither one of those exist on digital. You have to have those on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. Otherwise, you won't see them. So that's why I like to keep all my stuff. And then there's instances like Disney changing a few things here and there on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm like, why would I want that? I can literally just pop in the DVD and see it how it was originally made. And that's what we're going to do. At least that's the goal with Are You Dead Yet, is eventually to get some sort of Blu-ray, some sort of DVD, some sort of Amazon, iTunes, Vudu. I really, really wanted to go on Vudu, but we got to find somebody who's willing to pick it up. And the second we get that in and out, then I'll be set. But DVD, 100% has to have bonus features. Has to. Vudu, if I can, that would be my first choice. DVD, Blu-ray, and Vudu.
Man, and I know earlier you were talking about that lost footage, and I said, dude, it'd be crazy if for some reason you found it or you were able to get it. You can put it as a bonus feature on there.
Oh God, yeah, that whole 15 minutes would literally just be an entire bonus feature.
Man,
but that computer, when that factory reset hit, it literally reset the entire core. Yeah. Like the entire there. Like you can go back in and trace like earlier points in the laptop. Well, the laptop says that its manufacturing date was July 3rd, at the day after the reset happened.
Damn.
There was literally like no way to retrieve any of this shit. I'm so heartbroken.
Backups for backups.
Backups for backups. People are still pissed at me that I'm running off of one hard drive right now, one external hard drive. People are so pissed at me. They're like, "Get yourself another hard drive."
Issue with one of the hard drives.
We did. We had and Tim goes, "I'm getting you another hard drive. You're meeting me down there." I'm like, okay. I don't think I've ever seen that man so angry in my life.
Man, no, I relate, man. Because for you guys, it'd be, I'm not gonna put it out there, but that'd be a shame if it's tapping one. So, get this going. But man,
I have Google Drives now. Things are up on Google Drives, and they're in places in dark corners. And I'm like, okay, well now I know how to access it this time.
No, for sure, man. But guys, I appreciate you guys jumping on here. Of course, Are You Dead Yet? This is going to be the film. You guys are on Instagram, on Facebook. Everybody can follow you on there. And
Facebook.com/Are You Dead Yet Horror Movie.
And on Instagram, it's Are You Dead Yet Movie.
Nice. Now, as far as any other outlets, social media?
I think that's about all we got at the moment.
Okay, not a problem, man. Because I know I did try to look you up. As far as I saw the Instagram and Facebook, of course. But anything else, man? I'll definitely be in touch with you guys. We'll talk again soon. And I appreciate this. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us, Mario.
Thanks for having us.
Don't hang up yet. Everybody out there, of course, once again, this is Spider, the Coming Soon podcast. Till next time, follow up.